And of course the next thing we did was quickly rush off to the local medical centre and get all our inoculations that we were required to get, to be ready for the journey, like cholera and typhoid and malaria and all those sort of injections. And of course we got a bucket load of malaria tablets and gastric tablets and water purifying tablets and all that sort of stuff. And so we were powering into getting all the that side of it sorted out, as well as we started to look at the idea of doing all the modifications that we needed to do to the vehicles and get all the accessories that we needed for the vehicles. However, when we decided we were going to do this, right, let's do these modifications and get all the accessories that we're going to need for the vehicle, unfortunately, at this point, we hit a real big major snag because we couldn't find the accessories, we couldn't find the jerry cans, we couldn't find all these things because we were we were a long way away from the commercial centres, big commercial centres. We were in a little town, little seaside village, and we were a day away from these big commercial centres, and we didn't have time to go up and drive to these commercial centres that were a day away and lose a couple of days' work because we were working 7 days a week. We needed a lot of money, but the problem was we could not find all these accessories that we needed, like jerry cans and all these sort of things. You couldn't find them locally. This is a major problem. And as I said, we were working 7 days a week to try and achieve some sort of reasonable savings. And even if we did take a day off and go to the large commercial centres, where do you find what you're looking for? What you need? Where do you go? I don't know which shops to go to find all the accessories that we were going to need. And there was no internet then, remember? I mean, internet was decades away. If you wanted to find out some information, you had to go and read through the newspaper or ring around, And of course, ringing around was very, very expensive because you would have to go through the phone book. You'd find someone, you give a ring. Do you carry? No, I don't carry it. So you got to keep ringing and ringing and ringing around. And so we were in this huge dilemma. We couldn't go and use the phones. It was way too expensive and time consuming. We couldn't find what we needed locally. So how are we going to solve this problem? We needed a lot of accessories and we needed to make a lot of modifications, particularly to the Combi that we wanted to do, but of course the Leyland as well. So we thought, what are we going to do? Well, what did we do in New Zealand in the 1950s and the 1960s when we were stuck with this dilemma? What did we do? Well, we just built it ourselves, didn't we? We would improvise. We'd build it ourselves. Let's just do it ourselves. Let's try some other way of doing this. We would find substitutes. And so now not only did we have the wrong vehicles, but now also our modifications and accessories were about to become homemade or various substitutes. For example, I couldn't find the type of roof rack, large roof rack, that I would need locally. So what did I have to do? I had to make my own roof rack out of timber and bolt it through the roof. I couldn't find a suitable cooling venting system, so had to do the next best thing, which was plumber's plastic sewage piping, which we put on the side of the vehicle because it had to have good airflow into the motor system. And so we made these little vents to try and drive more cool air into the motor because you're going through 50-degree heat. Couldn't find a suitable air horn, the big air horns that these trucks had. Couldn't find them locally. So I went to a kid's toy shop, and I reckon one of those little push bike hooters would put out a pretty hefty sound, which they did, so we bought a couple of those little push bike hooters that you squeeze, you know. 4 new tyres. Well, that was completely out of the question. 4 new tyres. Way too expensive. So anyway, we ended up spending most of our time in the local wrecker's yard. And I figured it didn't matter if the tyres had no tread on them. I mean, who's going to check the tyres in the middle of the Sahara? Unfortunately, it was a really bad decision for many other reasons other than the ones I've just mentioned. But not buying 4 brand new tyres was a bad decision. We should have really bought the new tyres. Anyway, you'll hear about that later on. Another thing that we needed was at least a half dozen jerry cans, as I mentioned before, for all the extra fuel that we're going to carry. And do you think I could find jerry cans in this little town? Just wasted weeks going to all the, little local shops and ringing around and talking to everybody, and look, no way we're going to find jerry cans. So eventually, in final desperation, we went back to the wrecker's yard to see if we could find a substitute for the jerry cans to carry the fuel in. And the solution was, well, I found these old Chpt petrol tanks that were lying around on the ground. Well, we'll use 3 or 4 of those. And look, that would be a good substitute for jerry cans. Well, that was another very poor and regrettable choice, unfortunately, that nearly became our undoing. Oh my goodness. Fortunately, we had shortwave radio in the stereo that we bought in Singapore, so that was that problem solved. That was good. Apart from the fact that we had to put a very long area line because we wanted to make sure we had good reception everywhere we were through Africa. We wanted to know what was going on everywhere. We also found a couple of metal fencing strips that would do as sand mats, because you had to put sand mats if you get stuck in the sand, put your sand mats under the wheels, and so we found a couple of fencing strips that would do that. And a couple of fencing strips that seem pretty similar to the sand mats, so they would do. Bought heaps of second-hand tools, like a shovel and an extra jack and heaps of other small items that we figured we were going to need, like torches and gas bottles and 50 tins of canned food and dried food, 2 puncture repair outfits, fiberglass, hand drill, extra battery we got as well. We did get an extra battery because I thought, if battery conks out, then you're a big problem. 3 tyre pumps, don't break them down on you either, and many other bits and pieces, including a camera. We took about 80 photos on the trip. But we also bought, can you believe this, a movie camera, a Super 8 video camera, movie camera. And we took a movie of the whole trip, 2-hour movie of the whole trip. Guess what, we lost it. We lost the movie somewhere in our moves over the last 40, 50 years or whatever. We lost the movie, but it's still got the photos. You got about 80 photos, so that's good. I also had to double up, as the AA suggested, on the motor filter system, the air intake system. It had to have dual filters. That was the only safe way to protect the motor from the sand dust. And, if the sand got into the motor, then it would chew the motor out for 5 minutes. So you had to have double filters on, because the motor in the Chpt is in the rear, and all the dust getting churned up, and it's just filling up that cavity in the rear with sand dust. So you had to have a good filtration system, so none of that sand got into the motor. That was a big ask. The only massive negative that came along with putting dual filters on the motors was that it would slightly decrease the horsepower of the motor even more. And we're already only 1/3 of the required horsepower, to make a relatively safe mechanical journey over that 25,000 kilometre journey. So, decreasing the horsepower even more, that was a little bit of a worry. It became a weight on my mind. However, Paula was doing very well at that point, with getting all the visas approved, and as well had found some foreign language books and some foreign exchange books and quite a number of excellent Michelin maps, so it was great. Eventually those maps would become very crucial to us, those Michelin maps. Oh boy, how crucial did they become to us. And I also took along with me heaps of t-shirts, can you believe, because I was a collector of t-shirts, so I love my t-shirts and I had a whole lot of t-shirts. I had a lot of t-shirts. Boy, what a bonus that became to us. T-shirts, can you believe that? It was incredible. I took all these t-shirts along, and what a major bonus they turned out to be again. And as the 3-month mark drew a little closer, in other words 4 weeks to go, we decided that maybe now it was time to do a little test run. Let's do a little test. And after finally fitting the bull bars on the front of the vehicle, as you can see here, which took forever to make and a great expense unfortunately, we decided to take off to the New Forest in southwest England to do a little test run, saying goodbye really to Wollongong and my brother for the last time. And so we proceeded to our overnight camp just shy of the New Forest. We were going to do a little test run for a couple of days. It was an incredibly exciting feeling, and we realised that after our little test run in the paddocks, and we went out in the paddocks of the New Forest, that we were then going to fly up to Kent and do 4 weeks of apple picking, which my brother assured us was a good but strenuous way to make a good amount of extra buckaroos before our epic journey began. So we're going to have 2 days here just trying out our vehicles in some sort of English terrain and then head up to Kent to do 4 weeks of quick apple picking, make quick buckaroos. That was the plan.